So, my name is Lovita Miranda, and I would be presenting an overview of Dynamics 365 Sales Insights. So, this is an high overview of the features that this particular module that Microsoft has released would have. So, without wasting time, I'm going to start with the first slide. Okay, so to give you an introduction of what Dynamics 365 is. So as you know, Microsoft already has one module, which is called the Dynamics 365 Sales, which we mostly see as Sales Hub if you have a Dynamics 365 instance. All right. In that Dynamics 365 Sales Hub, now they've introduced sort of like advanced features to give you an AI capability on that sales features. So, for example, we did see the relationship assistant, which was there since before in the Dynamics 365 sales. Now that has become more enhanced. So you can see that if you see my slide right now, on the right-hand side, the items which come free with Dynamics 365 sales, which did include the assistant. Now on my left-hand side, where you can see the advanced sales insights features, you can see that this assistant has been advanced through Studio. So you've got um, a more advanced assistant, more analytics on the notes, more analytics on the relationships. Um, one of the components which is really nice is the predictive lead scoring and the predictive opportunity scoring. So from my experience from previous implementations, many of the customers used to ask me this, like, how do I rate my lead? Because right now in Dynamics 365 sales, you would see that the lead scoring is just warm, cold, and hot. Okay, but it was not really predictive. It was something that the salesperson would select manually. So he would judge by, let's say, maybe the size of the account or the revenue of that account, or when it would be closing and which quarter it would be closing. Based on that, he would make his own judgment to select whether it was a warm, cold, or hot lead. All right. Now this has been a little more automated, you can say, because so besides telling which characteristics are for the lead scoring, it's also predictive. So if you say that this account has a revenue of more than 5 million and they're closing in the coming quarter, it kind of based on the actions that the salesperson has taken with that account, it kind of tells you that, okay, this lead is more potential for closing. All right. So we've got that, and we've got Sales Accelerator, and we've got an add-on for the teams. Okay. I'm going to go into details into this in the next few slides. This slide is just to highlight that in the Dynamics 365 sales, you still do get 3 features, which is AI enabled. So you have got 3 features, which is the assistant and the auto capture and the email engagement. At least the assistant is a good one. I mean, the email engagement is a good one. I've seen many companies use this one. But if you're going for more deeper insights, that's why it's called Sales Insights. You've got the Advanced Sales Insights add-on now. All right. So I'm just gonna go to my next slide. So I will be talking about the features of this one by one. So we've got like a couple of features in this Sales Insight. So the first one, which is right now on my screen, is to predict sales. All right. So you can see that in the screenshot, I have a column for prediction, which shows an amount based on, it's got many factors in its configuration to actually get this figure here. But on a high level, this is to build more accuracy in your forecasts. So by predicting the value, you can see that your forecast is whether it's in line or not in line. So it's more to help the salesperson judge and reduce errors and biases when he does a forecasting. All right. It also helps to track and analyze changes in the pipeline uh, through visualization. So you have a lot of you can see on the right hand side, I've got like a forecast breakdown. So it's the predictions based on what was won, the total prediction, how much is still to be won. So I've got many visual analytics which do come along with this. So this is the first feature, which is to predict sales, and I've got prediction in this. My second feature is it's about judging the right buyers. So like I told you before, we do have the warm, cold, the scoring, which I was talking about. So if you see in this screen in my bottom right, I have something called an opportunity score, right? And also I have um, on like I've seen, you have the assistant, you have many other items on this page which do not come with sales hub out of the box. All right. So the opportunity scoring, like you can see, it's based on a configuration which helps you score this opportunity. So for a salesperson, this helps him prioritize which opportunities to focus on, because based on the win rates, which the AI calculates, it prioritizes the leads and the likelihoodness of the conversion itself. So it helps give the sales guy an idea of which opportunities he should be concentrating on. All right. So this is the second feature. The third feature, is which is who knows whom, which is basically which tells that if I have, for example, one client, let's say an account, and that account has got a lot of sister companies. It's got a lot of subsidiaries. It's got a network of people. So if you've already served one company and you are actually now you've got an account with its sister company, and there is a relationship between these companies and a relationship between these people. Maybe there's one person who does have contact with another company, with another employee of the other company. You'd be able to see this relationship between the companies. So it helps you to break the ice. So if the new sister company that you're trying to bid for as a salesperson, you don't know anyone there, but you do know that your previous company has a connection in that company, and that you could use that to create a warm introduction and break the ice more effectively, because human interaction or human introductions are more trustable, they're more reliable. So when you come from a source which is related to a company which they are familiar with, they tend to trust you more. So it gives you higher chances of breaking the ice. So this feature, who knows whom, gives you that information on this particular person knows who all in the company and what is his reach. So you can see through it's accessible on the mobile. So you can see that it's on the mobile. You can see that the center person knows a couple of people, and you can see the connection strength of this person. Indirectly, it also gives you an idea of how strong a stakeholder he is in the entire account as well. All right. So this was the next feature. I'm going to move on to the next one, okay, which is which Microsoft terms as building trust. Okay, building trust is nothing but actually doing selling through AI guided messages. So it's like it basically gives you like almost like an auto reply, but it looks like you have sent that message. So you can see here that um, in this screenshot, you can see that I've got emails which have gone through, and I can basically move relationships forward with artificial intelligence guided selling. So when I speak to that person, it gives me some personalized uh, talking points, you can call them, and actions that can be specific to those business processes. All right. The next one is to monitor relationship. So this one is something which I found really, really nice, because you can see how your relationship with that account is doing. So it helps you to, you know, kind of make sure that you're always in touch with the customer and you're not losing. So your relationship health, which is this column on my right hand side, you can see the relationship health. It tells you whether it's improving or it's steady or it's deteriorating. The health state, which is the KPIs, this is the KPIs which we configure and say that these are the KPIs. So based on the KPIs, it says whether the health state is good or it's fair or it's poor. Okay, so these information, whether it's healthy and whether it's improving or not improving, um, it's basically based on the data which comes from your CRM, Dynamics CRM, and also it also takes it from your LinkedIn and Office 365. So if you have your accounts with the LinkedIn link in the accounts, so it would basically track it all, and on an overall give you a health score based on your based on the data which comes from the Dynamics 365, from your LinkedIn and from Office 365. This helps to mitigate risks in losing a customer. So it's good to always keep good relationship health with all your customers. So that was one feature. The next feature is something which we're all familiar with. It's to work mobile. All right. So now we're in coronavirus time, and we've got a good taste of this. So work from anywhere is one of the features. Now, over here, what's special is that you do have, like, you can see this in my the middle mobile screenshot, I've got a business card. All right. So I've got a business card. I've just clicked the business card. I've got my information from the business card. So it's basically scanning the text that you click a picture of. So I've got a business card. On my right hand side, I've got uh, something that looks like meeting minutes. So if you've handwritten down your meeting minutes, you can just take a picture, it would scan it, your OCR would just get all of your text right there. Okay, so this mobile assistant is it helps you streamline your work, and also it does give you proactive suggestions. So it gives you like for example, if you're going into a meeting, it gives you some insights about the company, the people who are attending this meeting, so you can better prepare for the meeting that you're going for. So that's the first mobile screenshot which you should see on my left hand side. It's about so there's a meeting, and I can see all the data which is for that meeting. So I can see I have an opportunity, so maybe I should talk about that. If I've got leads, then maybe I should ask what they're planning about it, and get some insights informally from the customer. So this is this particular mobile is very, very good for, I mean, especially the scanning part is really good for people who are very used to taking meeting minutes on paper, and they don't really resort to typing the meeting minutes during the meeting. So it's a very, very quick, you take a picture and you get all your scanned text pretty quickly. Yep. I'm going to the next feature. Okay. And this is about, it's, if you can see on my screen, I have got a pop-up which says new email suggestion. Okay. So this is about to reduce creating data entry. So instead of, it's also a suggestive, so it kind of proactively gives you this based on the context of the note that was written. So, but ultimately the feature which is introduced here is to minimize data entry by creating records automatically. So it would just write an email. If you just click write email, it would just write an email. So you don't have to actually click on new email, put in put in Regina and then type everything out. It does this for you. It's to minimize the time of data entry based on the context and based on the context of the note which was written here. All right, and it basically minimizes data entry, which is really good. I am gonna go to the next one. Okay, the next slide, which actually looks really similar to the previous slide. Over here, what I want to communicate is if you can see the email that I sent from the previous one, Regina, I would like to thank you for taking the time to meet up. So the email which you just sent, okay, you've got the last opened as well in this screenshot, okay, and it helps track how you interact with your email. So this particular feature is called is basically to communicate at the right moment. Okay, so if you haven't communicated for a long time, it tells you that you haven't communicated with this particular lead or opportunity for a long time. And when you do communicate, it tracks what you have communicated through the emails, and it helps you to follow up with the customer. So now that I've written this email, you can see that in the insights on the right-hand side, I can see that the email was just opened, and also it suggested me to do a follow-up. So the suggestion of doing a follow-up is the feature which is now introduced in Sales Insights, which helps you keep track of this email that you've sent some time ago. So maybe you might have sent the email and you've just forgotten about it. So it helps you basically keep a follow-up so that you don't forget to follow up. And the time between communications to the customer does not have a very long gap. So if you've sent something today, it's not that you've forgotten about it completely, and then you've come after one whole week and you say that, oh my God, I forgot that I sent that email last week. The customer has not got back to me. I think I should follow up with him. So you don't have that situation where it takes you 1 week to realize that, oh, I sent an email last week and the customer has not got back to me. By creating a follow-up, the system will automatically tell you that you have to keep that momentum going on to keep the deals moving with this customer. All right. So that's the feature in this one. I'm going on to the next one. Okay, which is it's called well, Microsoft calls it getting down to business, but it's nothing but using the sales accelerator. All right. So in this screenshot, as you can see, it's on the left hand side. You can see numbers which track your lead scoring. all right? So you know which customers you need to prioritize, all right? And on the right-hand side, when you click on one of the customers, you can see, I mean, it's actually a lead. These are list of leads. When you click on a lead, you can see the information about that lead. Okay, so it might be a customer, it might be an existing customer, but it might not be an existing customer. It might be a new customer. It might be a complete stranger. You don't even know whether he's going to buy from you or not. Okay, so for um, customers which do not you don't have much interactions with, you can see that the lead scoring is low. It's 30 or 20. It might be very low based on the configuration. Um, in this particular feature, it's basically to identify the next best customer, all right, and to also deliver a steady interaction through sales sequences with that customer. So you detecting who's the next best customer um, is something which you can do with the lead scoring pretty easily. Okay, but in this case, you can see that I've got multiple which have like a very high rating. So I've got like a 96 here, a 96 here, a 99 here, and a 96 here, and a 100 here. So I've got like multiple leads which are really, really good. Okay, who have a very high score, and I know that these people would mostly convert into an opportunity for me. But for all of these, over here, the advantage that I have in this screen is that I can see them all in one screen. So I can see all of them like all my information in one screen, and I just have to click it and it would open here. So I'm not in a table form where I'm double clicking on one record and then it opens, and then I want to see the next record and then I have to go back. I have to go back and then again open the next record. It's as good as using your Outlook where I just, click on the lead on the left hand side and that lead would open up on my right hand side. And I can, you know, very, very efficiently switch between multiple leads, and um, this view is something which would help a salesperson a lot, so that he's not wasting time, clicking on a lead and then going back and then clicking on a next lead and then going back. He's got all his leads on his left hand side with all the lead scoring, and he can just select the ones um, he wants to focus on and then get to business. So on the right hand side, again, you've got your lead scoring, which tells you how that figure came up. Why is he a lead score 96? You've got the who knows whom, which I spoke about in the previous slide, where if there are people in that company that are already contacts in your CRM, you would know that, okay, this person can help you out. This information also partly comes with how strong that stakeholder is. So on the right hand side, you can see it's got like these 5 green bars, which tell you how strong an influence this person could be. So if let's say I get introduced by Henry Bill, um, he's got like a really, really positive stakeholder. He's very strong in uh, introducing me because what he says would give more impact, I would say. So that impact would be very, very useful for a salesperson to close a deal and put his pitch forward. So over here, besides this, I've already covered what's next. So this is a predictive feature. I'm just going to go to the next slide, which is to categorize your top sellers. All right. So every team has, uh, you've got like insights for every team. So you have top sellers, 60%, 40%. So this helps you. How do I put this? So this is the target, like for a seller, you should have more listening skills and less talking skills to be in the top, like to be really, really good. Okay. And your team average shows you where your team stands. All right. So understanding this ratio, it might not be 60/40, it might be like 80/20, it might be 70/30. That's something which is um, configurable, but um, this this particular ratio helps you to understand um, what the top sellers are doing right, and maybe you should follow the same thing, and you could be a top seller too. All right. So but the first graph is, it gives you that information. The second graph is nothing but a simple categorization of your top sellers. So it tells you which one's VIP, how much discount. I wouldn't say it's exactly categorization. It's more like you tell your sellers that this is the next on the list, and this is how it's going to work. So you uh, provide an insight on what they're working on. So if they're working on items related to, like in this case, 3D printing, so you can see how many of them are working on 3D printing. All right. The third graph, which is about the sentiment of the customer. So the sentiment of the customer is something which we've also come across in social analytics. If I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the social engagement, which was there once upon a time. It's something which tells you the sentiment of the customer. So, but in this case, it tells me the sentiment of the seller. So it kind of highlights whether the feedback from what you've done is positive or negative, which could help in, I would say, rectifying or trying to fix opportunities for the future. So if someone's had a bad experience, maybe you could see how many of those guys have had bad experiences, and try to understand the pain points of the customer and put this forward in the next opportunities, something which you can coach your team or um, train your team to do better talking or better selling or something with human skills or moral skills, so that they can have better they can, I would say, um, relate to the customer better, so that you do not end up having a negative customer sentiment. The last one is again the switch rate. So you've got your top sellers versus your team average. So this one again helps in, it's very similar to the previous one. It helps in identifying the coaching opportunities for others for in terms of switch rate per hour. So overall, over here, particular this particular feature is to help you master your conversation style with the customer. So it basically helps you to take the top sellers and your team average and help them to move in lines of coaching or training themselves to have better conversation content and a better speaking style, so that the customers respond more positively and you have more successful call strategies within your entire team. I'm going to go to the next one, which is it's similar to the previous one about the coaching. So this is per seller. So I've got an example of Jeff Hay. So for this seller, you could see all of his insights as to how he's been talking with the customer. So you can see his average talking speed, how much switches per conversation, what's his average pause time, what is his longest customer monologue. I've dealt with a lot of sellers who have a really long monologue. 48 seconds is really good for this guy. Insights, as you can see that for this average talking speed that he has, okay, it gives you an insight that his average talking speed is actually higher than the general average. So maybe he needs to talk slow, or if the customer, I mean, sorry, if the company is focusing on getting calls done quickly, then a high talking speed is great, but they should also compare this with the top sellers. So let's say the average talking speed of your top sellers is 130, for example, which is slower than the average and it's slower than his talking speed. So you could, this detail will help you uh, tell your seller that, listen, the top sellers, their average talking speed is 130, yours is 164. So maybe you should talk a little more slowly. I think that would help the customer understand what you're saying better. So it's basically to find the best guys, replicate them, and coach the rest of the guys in your company. So this particular, uh, it's like an individualized dashboard, gives you an overview of how your seller is doing. What is he doing? What is his skill? Like how much listening, how much talking, what's his sentiment per what's his sentiment per call, what's his sentiment over time, and um, um and these insights which pop up on top. And so this is about coaching more effectively. I'm going to go to the next one, which is about what kind of customers you are talking to. So for a seller, so for example, Kevin is a seller. So he opens his dashboard and he can see uh, what is his, this is more like insights on what his customers what his customers require, or what his customers' needs are. So it's to help recognize emerging customer needs. So even before someone, proactively actually comes and tells you, I need to buy this, it's to understand what are the products that, or what are the segments that are actually surfacing more. All right. So for example, in the first chart over here, you can see I've got 3D printing, I've got jewelers, I've got fabrication, fused filament, and STL. From this, I know like I can have a general overview saying that, okay, my customers are talking more on fabrication. I think I'm going to get more deals on this. All right. So this helps you track those keywords saying 3D printing and fabrication are trending in the sales calls. So this probably would be making sales in the coming future. This is the first chart. Okay. The second chart, which is about, it's again the sentiment which I spoke about before. It's to show you the sentiment of your calls which are happening. So you can see that it's given you an insight saying that 20 calls have higher negative sentiment than average. So these 20 sales calls which have the higher negative sentiment is something that you need to focus on and make sure that this does not happen in the future. So it's highlighting you, it's telling you that, listen, you do have these 20 sales calls, have a look at them. Maybe they're all from the same sales guy. Maybe that sales guy needs to be coached better to handle calls better. So this the sentiment insight gives you that. And the last one is the brands. It's similar to the first one where I had keywords. This was more on a higher, like jeweler fabrication. It's more on a product base, and the last one is more on the brand. So if I've got one particular product, but I've got various brands, and you want to see which brand is selling. So you would know that not selling, but about to sell in the coming future, because this particular word, let's say proswear, is the brand which has been detected the most number of times in the sales calls. So in all the sales calls, I've got people calling and asking me, do you have a proswear? Do you have proswear? Do you have proswear? So this particular brand name has appeared many number of times in the sales calls, and you can understand that from this, this particular brand is meant, since it's been mentioned more, either it's moving towards more sales, as in there is more demand for this product, or it's a new brand which the customers have a urgent need for, or it's something like how we had a sudden demand for sanitizers when the coronavirus started. So you would see um, sanitizer as the top keyword, and you would see the brands of sanitizer, let's say Pure Well or Anichem, in the brands which come here below. I'm going to. So this was, I mean, this slide was about using a real-time conversion of your natural language calls to get insights of what's happening on sales, like what's moving forward. And all right, yeah, product demo. So, oops, sorry. I'm just gonna, I have the CRM open, so I'm just gonna, 1 second. Yes, okay. All right, so let me just start from the beginning. Okay, so the Sales Hub is something which you're familiar with.
Lovita, we can't see the CRM screen.
Okay. 1 second.
You can still see your slides at the moment.
1 second. Maybe I should just present it again. Hold up. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I think it's coming up. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So over here in the CRM, as you can see, so this over here is the Sales Hub. It's an existing module. I have enabled sales insights. So it's actually really simple. If you've already have Sales Hub, if you want to enable sales insights, you just go to the sales insights settings, and you would see, I've already enabled it, but you would see an enable, it would say agree and to enable the sales insight. Once you enable it, you'll be able to see all of these features in the settings. So you can manage each one of these features over here. All right. So I haven't got into much detail on how the analytics actually happen in the back end, or how you can configure this predictive lead scoring, or how you can configure this predictive opportunity scoring, or how you can configure the forecasting. It's a little long, and I don't think I have enough time to cover that in this particular presentation. But what I would like to say over here is that once you go into, like, once you go to Sales Hub and you go to Sales Insight settings and you do enable it, it does take a while. So I've got, like you can see, I've got a trial version. If you're trying this out yourself, it does take a while after you click on install. It took me like more than, like, actually it took my friend like not even a minute, but it took me more than 1.5 hours. Um, um, so yeah, don't panic if it is like saying installing for quite some time. Once you do get it installed, you can see all of your configurations here. You can see some of them are still in preview mode. So on the left-hand side, which is the menu of all the features that you can see that this particular feature, the sales accelerator and the sequences, I think even that's inside that's inside this sales accelerator and the sequences. Both are in a preview mode, more like a beta version. And there was one more, which is called optimized ranking. Is it here? Optimized ranking. Even this one is in a preview mode. All right. So optimized ranking is to basically uh, prioritize your AI ranking rules. So an account which has annual revenue greater than 1 million is is like he's got more priority, let's say. Okay, so this helps in this new features which is in preview mode. I'm not sure whether they would come if you buy the sales insights right now, because there's still a beta version. um, but it would come eventually. So if you want to explore it, you can always install the sales insights and then explore the sales accelerator and sequences and optimized ranking. So these three features. To give you a small intro of what these three beta features are, because I covered the rest in my presentation. The beta features, which is actually not mentioned even explicitly on the Microsoft website as such, because they're still beta, I'm assuming. So the first one is it's similar to the activities which you saw in my presentation. So in my presentation, you'd see that there was um, like a predictive email or a predictive thing to show me what are my upcoming tasks and what have been done. So there was like a small box which showed me that. So that was the sales accelerator preview. The sequences is something which is to help your team go through, let's say, steps for making a sale. So let's say if you want, uh, you know, if it's a timed sequence, especially for, I mean, I don't know, I can't exactly give you a sales example, but I can give you an example for, let's say you're buying a house, which is a sale, which a sales guy does it. So if you're buying a house, you do have paperwork which happens from a time to time basis. You need to send in. Um, I know all of you are from different parts of the world, but I'm in United Arab Emirates, and over here in Dubai, we have to go to the registration. Then we've got an appointment with another person, and we've got like documents to send after every few days, and um, the documents have a timeline, so you cannot. Let's say once you submit the first document, you have got like 5 days to submit the next document. So in terms of having a timed sequence, so you could see that I had to submit document number 1 and then document number 2 after 5 days. It's it's a sequence, it's a work item which is timed. So unlike the steps which come in a business process flow, which is not actually timed, it just says whether you've done it or you've not done it. This one is actually timed. So it helps you make sure that you're in timeline of the sales activities that's supposed to happen. Right? It's a nice feature. I've actually explored it. I cannot show you right now. I've got like few minutes remaining for this demo to end. I want to talk lastly about this optimized ranking, which I did show you just now, which is to if you have accounts or you've got opportunity leads which are you need to override ranking. So this will help you to optimize those guys to um, um, come on top and give them a more score compared to the other guys. So this feature, the sequences and sales accelerator, all three are in beta mode. If you're buying sales insights, I'm not sure if you would get it along with your instance. And the rest of the features is something which I covered in my present PPT, but you have the configurations here. It's more in depth, and I think we can cover that in another video. Um, the final note that I want to say here is that for this to work, which what I've realized is for this to work, for your sales insights to work, if you have an existing CRM, if you're an existing Dynamics 365 organization, I would suggest that you check your CRM version before you actually get the sales insights, because I've noticed, because I've tried to install this on older versions of Dynamics 365. So this, right now I'm on the latest one because I've taken a new trial, so it's a 9.1. But my other organizations were like 8 point something and 8.2, I guess. Um, I could. I'm not sure if they would, if I have to do something to enable it separately for an older version. But from what I could see is some of these items were not there. I think there is a like in terms of compatibility, you need to check whether your CRM is compatible. That's one thing. And the second thing is if your Dynamics 365 on premise and you're not online, again, I'm not sure how that would work because I have not actually seen this for on premise yet. So I think someone from someone could help you in that aspect. And yes, so overall, for existing customers, for new customers, all the people here hearing me, partners, learners, this module, Sales Insights, is really, really good. Like I can see a lot of potential in which it can help the sales guys, because I have had many customers in the past who actually asked me the exact same functionality which is listed over here, especially this predictive scoring. And we went down a very different, longer way just to get that done. And now this is coming out of the box, and it's great. It's excellent, actually. Um, yep. So that's it for now, and thank you for listening to me. I hope I gave you some good insights on sales insights. And yes, thank you.
Thank you, Lovita. We did have a few questions come in. I know we are heading very rapidly towards lunchtime, but I don't know if the questions that were asked, I know they came in during the slides, but they hopefully we can still pick up on detail that we're asking. Jessica, I think you had a couple of questions. Did you want to unmute yourself? Is there anything you still wanted to know? Jessica Howes?
Yeah, hello, I think I've unmuted myself. I'll stick my
You
camera
have.
on as well. Hi guys.
Hi.
Nice to be social, isn't it? I just wondered for a couple of things, and I think some people have touched on it as well. Where you have sort of all of the predictive things. So the one that I wanted to find out about was the relationship health. So where you showed it and it had like the steady and the improving and the things on there. What defines that relationship health? Is that something that Microsoft has set, or is that something that us as the administrators go, oh, well, if they have this, that's good, and if they do this, that's bad? So that was one of my questions, and I'll ask the other one in a second.
Okay, so it's something which is configurable. It's based on, so in the configuration, you have, it shows you these 4 to 5 options. Like it gives you, so let's say it has, I think, 4 of them, which is emails, meetings, phone calls, and tasks. Okay, for each of them, it gives you a slider as to how much of this so let's say if I did 1 email and 1 phone call, okay, would that categorize as good? Would that categorize as steady? Or would that categorize as improving? All right. So it gives you this configuration where you can decide how many emails or how many phone calls are required to actually categorize this as good, or I mean as steady or as improving. So it's based on, one is the communication frequency, and then you have something for exchange data, which takes data from your exchange server. I'm not really sure on what it picks from the exchange data. I've just read about it on documents and blogs, but I have not really touched base on that. But the communication frequency is something which I think the actual sales manager would use to configure this health of the relationship.
Yeah. So would it come with like a starting point with Microsoft? So Microsoft has their sort of predefined ones and then you just tweak it, or it's something where everyone has to create for themselves, so everyone's probably all working to totally different things?
From what the settings that I've seen, it looked like a single setting for that. I actually did not actually focus on whether it's team specific. Like if I've got multiple teams, like multiple sales teams, whether it's team specific, because when I saw the settings, I did not see an option for me to select which team this is applicable to. So maybe it might.
That's not what I meant.
Okay.
I meant, so when you install the Insights Hub and you enable this feature, does it come with a sort of a preset defined of Microsoft says if they do 2 emails and 1 phone call, this makes them good, and if they do X, it makes them bad. So it gives you a starting point. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Okay. The one with I am not sure whether it comes from out of the box with a default value set.
Awesome.
Because
okay.
Because the demo instance which I used, it was already installed and the values were already there. So I'm not sure whether the values came out of the box with a default set values that if you do 1 email and 1 phone call, that's categorized as good.
It probably did if it's like that in the trial instance that you've got. So that's to know that everyone has a starting point.
Yeah, I actually changed it later. Like I saw the setting and I changed it later. So I'm not sure if it comes out of the box with like for at least for the demo data. I'm not sure because I did not go that route. I went a different route to create my demo instance without data.
Okay, thank you. And if we've got time, can I ask my other question, please? With the where you've got the recommendations and you had the write email feature, and you said you can select it to like send an email. I just wondered if it's going to write the whole email for you, or if it takes you to the composure. Sorry about my cat. If it takes you to the composure sort of screen of the email and then allows you to continue to write the email. I just wanted to know how much of it does for you or for the salesperson.
So when you click it, it opens it. It puts the person who is, so in my this thing, it was Regina, so it takes Regina and puts it over there, and it does give you a one-liner. So it gives you a one-liner of what like what needs to be written, but it's not. You still have to write it properly so that it's. But yeah.
Okay, lovely. Thank you for answering those.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a quick one from Alison. She just said, "Wait, what? This will track interactions you have with contacts on LinkedIn." So I think that was a question. Alison, I don't know if that's still. If you wanted to know more about that.
The contacts on LinkedIn.
Alison left. I'm sorry.
Yeah, did she leave? Okay. Yeah, she was just asking if it's going to track interactions with contacts on LinkedIn. Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, but I'll check and I'll answer it in the Q&A. I think it does, because it does have a connection with the LinkedIn, and every contact does have its LinkedIn profile linked to that contact. So it could be, but I would confirm, and I would like to give you a confirmation on that.
No problem. Thank you. And I don't know if we've got very rapidly running out of time. Sophie Marsh, I think, had a question as well. I don't know if that got answered.
No, it didn't. Hello. My question was, I was looking at the opportunity score and I saw the comment, education is a strong industry. So I was trying to establish where you were getting that, what I was calling the background information from. Is that something that you have entered yourself as a business, or is that something that, because I'm just linking that back to like a market sector?
Okay, so the predictive and the lead scoring, I mean, okay, when you click on it's a configuration first thing.
Right,
so
yeah.
when the fields which are used for prediction is something that is configured. So if you say annual revenue and budget and etc., it picks up those. Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of, like you said, the industry. So the industry itself
Yeah.
is actually a field on the sales. So you can actually say that even industry is a predictive factor. But it would you'd have to actually kind of map
Yes. Yeah.
the scales of which is good, which is bad. So
yeah, no, that works for us. We're food and drink industry, so there's certain sectors we would actively want the sales team to target over and above others.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it works.
Figurable. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I think we are going to have to wrap it up there, but if you'd like to all come off mute and give Lovita a round of applause, that would be appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you.